Hi, it's Martha Seckler here from the Brown County Public Library. And today I have a story for you that comes from Japan. It's called the Roly Poly Rice Ball. And just in case you're not sure what a rice ball is, it's pretty much what you would expect. It's sticky rice that's rolled into a ball about the size of a baseball. And it's filled with spices, and it could be filled with meat, could be filled with fish or vegetables, and then it's covered with usually seaweed or some type of maybe a radish leaf that will keep it from getting soiled. And it's taken along on a snack on trips, just so if you get a little bit hungry, you've got something to eat. And now, the Roly Poly Rice Ball. Many years ago, in Japan, there lived a man named Kenji. He and his wife lived in a house in a village surrounded by neighbors that loved them and felt they were just the most generous people in the world. They did have one neighbor, however, who was not so kindly. In fact, he was very greedy, and he didn't like anybody. And he was always doing unkind things, nasty things, like one time he picked all the peach blossoms off the tree of another neighbor, and then when the peach tree didn't bear any fruit, he wouldn't share any of his own, and he just laughed at the neighbor, saying he had a bad peach tree. Like that. So, these two lived next door to each other, and they got along okay because Kenji and his wife were always nice no matter what. Now, one evening, Kenji decided he was going to go for a walk in the park. And he asked his wife if he could take along some rice balls that she'd made that day. So she gave him 2, and he stuck them into the pocket on his sleeve and went off. It was a lovely evening, and he was having a nice time and really enjoying the spring air. And then he got a little hungry, so he decided to pull out one of the rice balls. And as he was unrolling the leaves from the rice ball, it dropped onto the ground. The grassy path that he was walking on just made a perfect path for it to roll. Koro, 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 koro. And pretty soon he heard a little tiny voice singing, "Rice ball, roly poly rice ball, rice ball, one roly rice ball." Well, thought Kenji, somebody's enjoying my rice ball. I'm going to find out who it is. So he took out the other rice ball, unwrapped it, and sent it rolling. Kori, 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 kori. And he followed it. And sure enough, with her nose peeping right out of a little hole, there was a mouse. And she was singing, "Rice ball, roly poly rice ball, rice ball, 2 roly rice balls." "Oh," said Kenji, "I see that you have really enjoyed my rice balls." "Oh, yes," said the mouse, "we love them. They're so tasty." "Well, that's because my wife makes the best rice balls in the country." "We agree," said the little mouse. "And for your generosity, I have a gift." "Oh, you don't need to give me anything," said Kenji. "I'm glad that you enjoyed the rice balls." "Oh, no, we insist. You give us rice balls, we give you a gift." And she scampered away, and in a moment later she was back, and she had 2 boxes, a large one and a small one. "You pick whichever one you choose." And so Kenji, being a very kind and generous man and not wanting to seem greedy at all, he took the small box, tucked it under his arm, thanked them, and then went home to his wife. He told her what had happened, and she was all excited. She said, "Let's see what's in the box." Who knew what a mouse would give them? Well, they opened the box, and out of the box came candies and sweets and delicious food of one kind or another. There was silk cloth, and there were gems and jewels and gold and silver coins. It was more than they'd ever had in their whole lives. And every time they opened up the box, they'd get more. Well, they were so excited and so glad to be able to share it with all their neighbors. So, of course, that's what they did. Well, the very next day, of course, that greedy neighbor stopped in to see what was going on. "I hear you got yourselves a nice magic box." "Oh, indeed we did," said Kenji. "So, how'd you get it?" And Kenji proceeded to tell him all about the rice balls and the mice and how they'd brought out 2 boxes, but the greedy man did not wait around to hear about the 2 different sized boxes and which one Kenji took. He just raced home and he said to his wife, "Get out the stuff for rice balls and don't use the rice from today. Use the rice we used yesterday. It's good enough for the mice and we don't want to give them any of our good stuff anyway." So she rolled up some rice balls and he stuck them into the pocket on his sleeve and he set out for the park. And when he got to the spot where Kenji had told him he dropped the first rice ball, he dropped his rice ball. And it rolled, koro, 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 koro. And then, just like it had happened to Kenji, he heard a little voice singing, "Rice ball, slimy, grimy rice ball, slimy old rice ball." He didn't really listen to the words, so it didn't make any difference to him. He just had heard the voice. And so he dropped another rice ball and began to chase it. And pretty soon he heard that voice again, singing, "Rice ball, slimy, grimy rice ball, 2 slimy rice balls." He searched around until finally he found the hole where the sound was coming from. He wasn't greeted by a friendly little face, but he poked his eye right down into that hole and looked. And sure enough, there were rice balls all over the place, and they were all eating them. But they didn't really look very happy. And one of them said to him, "You gave us slimy, grimy rice balls. They're rotten." "Well," he said, "you're eating them. They're good enough for mice. I came here to get my magic box." "Well," said one of the mice, "I suppose since we ate your rice balls, we owe you that." And so he went and got 2 boxes and brought them out. And the greedy man didn't even think twice. He just grabbed the biggest one, never said thank you, and ran all the way back to his house. He called out to his wife, I got the box, come see." And so they both opened the box together, and out popped spiders and snakes and scorpions crawling, wasps, mosquitoes, and hornets buzzing around their heads, and they began to run. They ran and they ran and they ran. And those snakes and those scorpions and those spiders just ran right after them. And around their heads buzzed the wasps and the mosquitoes and the hornets, and they ran and they ran and they ran and they ran. And for all I know, they're running still. But Kenji and his wife, well, they lived the rest of their life with happiness and generosity, and they always had plenty.